Hello, and thanks for purchasing the Dungeon Level Asset Pack. This is a pack that will be updated in the future because I wanted to add so much more to it, but I just didn't have enough time. And if I had to start adding it from now, it would never end. The development of this thing, it would never end, and I would never be able to post it. And therefore, I decided to keep updating it over time. So if you buy now, well, you will be receiving those updates as they come. Alright, so without further ado, let's dive into this tutorial so you can get the most out of this purchase. I'm sure I will have to create another one of these with the next with the next update, and that will be linked in the description. That link will be in the description, so you will be able to access this thing. So first of all, let's go over an overview, and I must apologize. There's a fan running in the background, and there is thunder thundering outside my home because a storm is coming, and yeah, I have my window open because it's hot in here. Okay, so let's move on with the overview of the assets. First of all, as you can see, everything is completely color coded, and this is because if everything was just in the original gray or yellow or whatever you want to call it, you just wouldn't be able to find everything because there are so many folders with so much content. And when you have these two open like that, they just merge into one and you can't find anything. So therefore, I decided to color code every single folder. So starting from top to bottom, we have materials, meshes, sound effects, textures, VFX, which is basically just the Niagara systems and the Niagara emitters. We also have blueprints, not to be confused with the blueprints inside the demo content, which this is the engine content folder that pertains to the little guy we have here, our third person blueprint guy. So yeah, all that is in the demo content folder. It's not my content, obviously. And finally, we have maps, which we have two maps. We have a sample level, which with already pre-assembled everything, so you can take a look at how all these things interact. So let's just first let's establish something. If you like something from here and you're like, oh my god, where is it? Right? So it's super easy. First of all, you can just go like that and it'll appear there. So what did I select? SM Coffin Skeleton. You can actually just search it here, right? You can just search the thing and it will appear there. If you go to content and just type, for example, SM underscore coffin, so on and so forth, and you'll find that. But you know, for it to be easier, just select the thing. You see, where is it? Okay, accessories, coins. All right, so it's right here. Accessories, coins, right? It's right there, all of them. So that makes it super easy to find. That's one thing. Another thing is that there's a ton of things and it's easy to get lost. So I actually categorized them the best I could. But some things actually, well, they unfortunately fit several categories. So I categorized it the best I could. And you'll notice that some of these things are pre-assembled. So you'll find them in meshes, which is just the mesh. Actually, where is it? Lighting. Okay, so candles, right? So it's just a mesh. There is nothing else to it. But they are right here as well. and blueprints, and that's an important distinction because the blueprints come already, some of them come already pre-assembled, and it's right there, pre-assembled. The lights as well. So you can have just the candle, the naked candle, just the mesh, or you could have with its light, and there is this little flame going on. So just so you know, all right. So let's move on and go over everything there is in this asset pack, and we'll start with the cobwebs. We have a bunch of really cool cobwebs. We have a bunch of debris in case you want to have something broken. And again, this asset pack will be updated. This asset pack will be updated with the next update. All right. So I think it would be easier if we just look at these. Take a look at these. Now let's go to the same area, and you'll notice that they crumble. That's why they were in the air, because these are not only are they pre-assembled, because I obviously, you know, imported all these objects, all these pieces, but they were all obviously a mess, right? They were everywhere and nowhere at the same time. Whoa, that was insane. Yeah, those little those little pieces don't get along very well. So yeah, so we have a bunch of pieces over there, and you can just put them together, right? They are already pre-assembled for you to start using, including these ones. You'll see a couple of examples of this one, of this wall holes, where I wanted the player to go through the wall, and sometimes these get stuck, right? So you need to add your own code into the pre-assembled debris, right? So you'd have to get your own code for these to work, for these to crumble correctly or whatever. What I did was actually just put these together, just so you have them assembled, and here you can actually just move these pieces of this bricks inside or outside, just so they crumble comfortably, and you have this really cool broken wall, right? We have stairs pieces, and these can double for the, which I also use them for that. This can double for the debris from the broken bridge, not only for the stairs. You can change them in size, so on and so forth. You can add these guys to the bridge, just because it would be way too much work to just create the pieces for the bridge, while you can actually use the other ones. Now we have some ironworks with these guys. We have some, oh yeah, these open on their own. So yeah, we have these guys, and I have a bunch of wood pieces of all kinds. We have a bunch of chains, again, of all kinds. We have sound effects for the doors, wooden, the chests, metallic There is water effects, fire effects, and other types of ambiances that you may or may not need to use in your map. Also, we have different sizes of arches and vaults with different types of openings on the top. Maybe you want your some light, some natural light in your scene. Well, I got you covered, and I plan to add more of these in the future. But yeah, what I wanted to add more is accessories. I'm sorry, English is not my first language. There's also really cool smoke effects, fire effects. There's colored fire, there's blue, green, normal, there's fire with smoke, there's fire without smoke. For now there is no burning amber wood, unfortunately, but I do plan to add that in a future update. There is some lava flows. As you can see, it's not very cool and not very not fantastic, but it gets you covered. Like, you can get specialized effects, obviously, but I decided to include as many as I could, just so you don't need to buy specialized ones. Now, you can actually get your specialized ones just because, well, you know, these are not the best. I'm not a visual effects artist, but I decided to include these anyway. I think they are good enough for certain types of scenes, but not all of them. All right. There's some fog that you can add to some of the levels. It looks freaking amazing. There's small fog, medium. You know, this one is for the fountains. There's some smoke coming out. You can add this one on the floor grates, by the way. By the way, it is worth mentioning that these actual effects, they are optimized. So they are optimized as much as I possibly could, so they work on every single system. The liquid effects are also animated, as you can see. And you can change the color. We'll go over that in just a little bit, but for now just know that it does exist, right? We also have all kinds of lights. We have candles, we have torches of several kinds, and you can actually change the fire inside this torch, or that one, for the colored ones that we find over there. Which, by the way, as you can see, they disappear. You can modify that, by the way, just so you know. Alright? You have coffins and accessories for your... Hold on, let me grab the mouse. We have accessories for the monks, the stone statues, which you'll find over there. We have chests. They can open with the E key. You can add padlocks to them. There is barrels. And there is foliage, which I'm gonna teach you later how to use these really cool foliage assets. But for now, just know that there are foliage assets. As you can see, there is all kinds of overgrowth for statues. There's for floors. There's one for the well. There's another one for the statue and the base. These are different. There's one for the grates as well. There's one for the fountain and the little guys. Absolutely fantastic. super useful, by the way, and you'll see that in the um, in the life biome, I like to call them. But for now, let's just move on. There is a short bridge. Obviously, you can make it twice as big, but yeah, it wouldn't work very well. I didn't want to make a very specific bridge that would span more than this, but maybe I could add one in the next update. We'll see about that. There is several kinds of stairs. There are stairs for just one side handrail, and there are stairs with both sides of handrail. There is one of these guys. There's some wall decoration, fountain spitters. There is, in case you want to put them on a curved wall, as you can see. Those two are slightly curved. You'll see why in just a little bit. But just know that they exist. I don't know where are you going to put these, obviously. So we do want them to be in a, looking cool, right? There are some other types of wall decoration that you can put on stairs or walls or whatever. Even the fountain, you can put some of these on the fountain. You can put these fountain spitters, the little fishies. You can put them on the sides of the fountain. You can make the fountain twice as big. It's all up to you. I tried to make this as flexible as I could, and we'll take a few examples of how to build stuff. Just know that these exist, right? There's some floor tiles, different types. There's some. There's the normal one. There's one with missing tiles. Some of them, more of them. There is some dirt floor. There's some moss floor. There is water and water with missing tiles, so on and so forth. There's platforms that you can put for bridges. Not all of them have to be like these, but yeah, you could actually work with that. All right, what else? We have statues. We have a bronze statue, and we have stone statues. And there is, if you want two of them facing each other, just so there's no repetition, they don't look like they are the same thing, I decided to make two different versions. And there's one with a sword, in case you wanted warlike kind of thing, right? Again, I will be uploading or updating alternate skins for these guys, but for now, just know that these exist, and we'll see how this goes. Obviously, I don't want people to have just the same of the same of the same. So if there's a lot of people buying this stuff, I do want them to be happy with their purchase. So naturally, if these sell too well, I'm gonna have to make more skins for people to not have what everyone else has, okay? And obviously to fit your particular thing. There is, again, two pedestals in case you want them to face each other, just so there's no repetition. There is two pinnacles. There's no exteriors, unfortunately, alright? So there is no exteriors. Most of these guys are for interiors. There's some stuff that you could use for exteriors, but it was never meant to be to do that. All right. There's some unions. So you have these joints, and you can use these because the bricks, they don't line up, right? So you need to use one of these guys. So you can line them up vertically and horizontally. All right. You have pillars. You have tapered ones. They are almost identical, but trust me, they are not. I'm not sure if you can tell. These guys are just straight, and these ones are slightly tapered. They are tapered up. Okay. There's some verandas and handrails. By the way, there's these ones but broken over there. So just so you know, there's half walls in case you want to recess on your floor. There's the broken walls. These are the debris type walls with holes. One you can walk through, the other one you can't. Maybe you could fly through. I don't know what your game is gonna be like, but yeah. And this is the reason these two walls and that one, these are the reason why I actually decided to make these as actual geometry. As you can see, that's actual geometry. It's because of this stuff. My last actual what do you call it? My last pack, asset pack. It was the cemetery one, and unfortunately, in that pack, the walls were actually just PDO, and they looked fine. But when it came to these types of sites, the illusion sometimes broke, or it just looked kind of weird. I wasn't happy with that. I mean, it still looks good, it still works, but yeah, I decided to just make it actual geometry. There's one with a window. There's one with a window in the center. I mean, both of them are in the center, but this is a double wall, and the window is in the center. All right. There are several types of gates. There's a big one over there, and there are small ones there. Again, in case you wanted it in a double wall in the middle, that's done there. And yeah, there is also doors, and one with a hole, because this is a dungeon, right? It's like a... They are all functional, but I urge you to get your own code, just because I'm not a blueprint artist, right? So I mostly made these to look amazing, but also decided to include this in case you are cool with this code. It's kind of lucky, to be honest. I'm not a, like I said, I'm not a blueprint artist, but at least it gets you started. And if you want your own code, you can write it. And if you don't, well, there's something for everyone, just ready to be used. Again, we have like these guys with to be used with some of these, and you'll see how they work, how they work with the pillars. But for now, know that they exist, and there is several ones, right? So there is different types. There are different types of walls for every use. I hope I got everything that you need, but yeah, you can just comment down there in the comment section, or comment on the Unreal Engine page, and I will definitely add, you know, if a suggestion comes out way too much, I will have to add it into the next update. Obviously, I can't add every single thing that people say, like, I want this thing for my particular very specific project. But if there's many people asking for that, I will definitely add that in the next update. There's some arches, again, different sizes. There's 3 sizes. There's single length arch, there's double length, and there is however many this is. I think it's six of them. There is the inside of the arch, right? And we already checked out the vaults. And there's some ropes. There's with and without the hanging noose, and we can actually use these guys to build stuff. There's broken ones, there's vertical, horizontal. There's decals as well for water, blood, acid. Actually, it doesn't have to be acid. You can make it purple if you want. I just wanted to make these, as inclusive as possible. There is for your satanic rituals. There's some moss. There's some mold leaks. Rust ensued. There's two different types of rust. There is rust for iron, obviously, because we have a bunch of iron stuff. And we also have a bronze statue, so we have bronze rust. There is some dirt. And obviously back to the cobwebs we started with. Alright, so let's go over these guys again, but in the dungeon level. By the way, these are fully modular. They come together super easily, and this whole level didn't take me more than 2 days to build, and that's because I was I had other things to do. I was taking care of a different project, which you no doubt must have seen already in my either portfolio or my other thing. So yeah, it took me longer than expected. This could have been knocked out in a single day. Easy, easy. Super easy to put together. So yeah. Everything is optimized, by the way. Everything is optimized to work seamlessly. There's your fountain spitters, and check it out. I promised these ones would be just flat, right? And then there's these guys, which, as you can see, they are closer to the arch, right? So they are slightly curved on top, just so they can fit better. All right. There's your fire. There's your fire with smoke. There's your fire without smoke. And by the way, each one of these have sound effects. So you don't need to get special sound effects. I mean, you do, but you don't. They work like a charm. So let's go over the materials we're going to be working with. There is master material, obviously, just because many of these materials they share they share some of the things with other materials. So why not? Why load them over and over and over and over again for forever? You know, we have a master material, and every material has their own thing, right? Now, there's some really cool stuff that you can do with this. So let's go visit this one, and let's pick some cool thing over here. Let's go here. And I promised that some of these guys would actually let me. That's a plane. That's a plane outside. Master materials, foliage, there we go. Foliage, leaves. So we have something really cool over here, and I want to show you. Because first of all, you can get rid of the wind. Maybe you want it completely static. Or maybe you can change the wind influence, you can change the wind weight. You can actually, by the way, change the wind intensity, right? And you can change the wind direction, okay? You can change the wind intensity and the wind direction, which is so freaking cool. You can blow any way you want, but for all intents and purposes, it's going to blow like very, very quiet because we are well, indoors, so there's no wind, right? But here's the really, really, really cool thing here. Check it out. Actually, this is to blend it with the floor. Everything has it. Like if you want everything to blend really well in the edges with each other, that's the button for it. But check it out. And now it's dead. Really cool. And maybe we don't want wind because it's obviously dry. See? Easy peasy with just one click. I do like the wind, so just let's leave the wind. You can make it super lush and super amazing. But what I did, if you didn't notice, is go 0.5, and it just ever so slightly yellowed. For me, in my opinion, it gives it more realism because I don't know, not everything is lush, but you can go as lush as you want. Like this is the max value, or you can just screw it up completely and have it look like everything dried up. And you have a similar thing going on with the moss, which we have moss variant, we have sandy variant, and we have wet variant, which by the way you can look at right here. Like everything here is slightly wet or very wet. The floor, the walls, just because it looks better when, like, especially these areas, they are supposed to be, you can see they are supposed to be wet. I decided to make the first one with normal water. For example, in this one you can see it very, very well. All right. So you cannot control the amount of water, but you can control the amount of moss and the mossy materials. So we have global moss. As you can see, you can make it very mossy or very not mossy. Except for the floor, which it's its own texture. I decided to make it just a little bit because the procedurally it just didn't work as well. It just wasn't. It just wasn't looking as great. So I decided to just make it, there's blend sharpness. You have some parameters to play with, but also each one of these individual guys, they have their own parameters. Actually, right? Just takes a little bit to compile. Let's just select a random one. This one, for example. In some of these guys, you want the moss, because there's moss from the ground. We want the moss from the ground to go all the way up, like to here, or maybe you just want it to be completely mossy, or you want it to just go up to here with the moss. So let's play around with this thing. First of all, the gradient. See? The scale, you have a scale for the thing. Gradient height, right? Can you see? It's right there. It's going up and down, right? Moss gradient. Again, you have different settings, just so it looks cooler. Obviously, every single material has, excuse me, this really cool alpha blending. Just remember the thing, so it blends the two. Actually, let me show you. Why am I even trying to explain something? There we go. Oh, actually, I think it just works on the floor. Yeah, it works on the floor. I'm sorry. So there you go. You can't tell the thing, and now let's just turn it off, and bam. Again, not all of them look great. So, like for example, if you have wood over this whole thing, the wood over the floor, you don't want it to melt into the floor, right? So yeah, you want to be like try and know where it's cool to use the alpha blending. Not everything will look fine with alpha blending. Unfortunately, this one does not have virtual textures, and I mean, on one hand, it's really cool it doesn't have, because it's just super heavy on the memory, and on the other hand, well, you could add it yourself. That's what I'm saying. I just decided not to add it because of the well, just the freaking memory costs, because it already has a bunch of really cool features that take a lot of space and a lot of things. Like these guys are animated. There's a ton of these really cool particle simulations, which, by the way, since we are already here, I don't think we need to know anything else about these guys, do we? There's moss. There's actually a moss texture, just so you know. There's a dirt texture, in case you just want pure dirt or pure moss. That's where you get it from. Fire. Yeah, I think these guys are fine. There's some material functions, which again work very well with the with the master materials level, as we already discussed. It has moss variants, sandy variants, and wet variants. Excuse me. There is. We already discussed how to make. Oh, the elements. Okay, so this one requires for you a little bit of. Let's start with the acid. What's the difference between acid and blood? Nothing really, except really these guys, the little bubbles, which is, by the way, a visual effect. It's a Niagara simulation, Niagara system, as well as this cool fog. But yeah, there's no functional difference between these guys, and except, for example, maybe the what do you call this thing? maybe perhaps the viscosity, because it's not the same. The acid spitters, the acid fountains, and the other ones. This one is a little bit different. Right? Where are you? It should be on this side, I think. Is it? Yeah, there it is. So it's a little bit different. It's not the exact same. But since we are already here, by the way, if you can't select it, you just have to press T, because this is made with a translucency material. So whenever there's a translucency material, if you don't have the T selected, it just goes through. You need to select T on your keyboard, press T, then you can select the water. So let's go to the elements and blood, and by the way, the only difference between the blood from the fountain, which is right here, it's this thing, and the blood from here is just the granularity of the little waves and the displacements and all that stuff. And on the fountain, it's a little bit quieter and it's smaller. And then this one is a little bit larger and more turbulent. So you can actually take care of those settings there. There is some SSS setting. There is some Fresnel. Right? There's some Fresnel. There's some the surface of your liquid. Right? None of these are actually oh my god, this one is going to be a little bit annoying to select, and actually it will be easier to just go here, MI acid, and just open it there. It has the same settings really. The only functional difference between blood and acid is they actually have just slightly different rippling, slightly different color changes, but it's just the same master material, which is M sludge, by the way, just so you know. But yeah, there's not much difference. The water, however, that one is a little bit different, and again, we have from the fountain and from the pool. This one doesn't have any SSS, doesn't have any subsurface scattering, but it does have transparency. And how do we get there? Let's move on to the water side, and as you can see, it's completely transparent. You can see through it. Actually, this one is a little quieter. There's less splashing going on. So yeah, it just looks really cool. You can change the colors to whatever you like. The water from the depths, right? Just depends on what you're doing and what kind of mood you're going for. I tried to include as many biomes as I was possibly allowed with my time. There's some caustics, by the way. This is right here, and it's a just a very simple, well, not so simple, but it's just a sticker, decal, excuse me. Right? So as you can see, there's several biomes that you can take care of for your thing, and this is how the accessories I was talking about work. You put them either on the head or somewhere else, just to differentiate the statues. So maybe you have a saint, maybe you have a, where am I? They're opposite to each other. So the room of death is right in front of the room of life. Kind of like this whole themed stuff. So that's why I... Okay, there we go. So this one is a martyr. So there is a crown of thorns. Just because it's really cool. Alright. So yeah, as you can see, there is different types of water depending very much on what you're going for. If you're looking, by the way, if you're looking for the particles from the fountains and the water and all that stuff, those particle effects, those particle materials aren't here in elements. They are here in visual effects. Just so you know, you will not find them in the elements, because that's just for the stuff like, for example, the fire one is just the lava, right? So it's right there. And the water is that. By the way, the lava also has a bunch of really, really cool settings that you can mess with. Actually, scalar parameters, if you will. There is some emissive brightness. You can make it brighter. You can make it duller. You can make it not bright at all, actually. You can just make it like that. Oh, that's the fountain lava. I was like, why is it not changing? That's why. Okay, so that's the fountain lava. Alright, so you can have more displacement, right? Less displacement. You can have more brightness, less brightness. Maybe it's completely dried up, you know? Where is it? There we go. It looks really cool, right? You can change the flow speed. Maybe you have some kind of area where the lava is going fast, or some area where it's going slow. You can have more normals. You can have less normals. You can make it pulsate faster. Or slower. You can have more roughness. You can make it really shiny. You can tile it a whole lot more or a whole lot less. So it's pretty well, it is pretty, but it's also very, very flexible, and I love that about this. And again, here with the water, you can also have a lot of more control over your water. There's some stuff that you didn't even like use. You can have, you know, some stuff. You can make it run faster, I think. Flow speed. Yeah. You can make it into rapids, you know. If you make the displacement stronger, you can make these into rapids. You can darken the water. And again, this all is to give you flexibility, because I don't know what you're going to be using these for. And just so you know, this is a thing that exists in this asset pack. So I think we're done with the materials. We can go over the visual effects really quick. We have some fire mats, which just emissive colors. We have some smoke effects. There's nothing to it, just normal. There's some toxic sludge and water. These are very similar in shape, but these are very different. But I didn't think it would be necessary to use them as material instances, because there's not much you can really change from the stock, from the factory settings, let's call them. So yeah, there's not many options with these. The options, actually, that's my neighbor playing the guitar. I don't know why they choose to do all this noise on while I start to record these things, but I, I like to apologize. All right, so now we have. This is where you're going to be messing with the really cool settings. So, for example, you have blue fire. Just change it like that. All right. All right. So we have different colors for the flames. We have different colors for the sparks, and we have different colors for the. Well, the distortion doesn't have any colors, but the reason I decided to not leave it with a single switch, which we could actually just put it here in user parameters, it's because you may want to like try and give them different types of colors. Like for example, the sparks, you want them to be slightly brighter or slightly darker. Like in the case of the fire, the little sparks actually are slightly darker than the actual fire. So I didn't want to just give them the exact same color, because that would make it look very monochromatic, and you wouldn't have as much flexibility. This is exactly why I pre-made rather a blue one and a green one, just because you don't want to be like doing this. I don't want you to be like messing with this stuff and losing your patience. Now, if you do need like a very specific color, let's say purple, well, you can take either of these, or you can duplicate it. You can duplicate it here. Just take it like that, go like that, and actually, let me show you how it's done. So first of all, let's go with sparks. Let's start with sparks, and here we are with the sparks, and scale color, right? So let's just move it to closer to that one closer to pinkish, right? Okay, and let's just make it bluish, right? And if this looks kind of weird, it's because it is. So we have to go here into curves and mess with it one by one. And surprise, surprise, we don't want this harsh curve, so let's just this one a notch. Let's rotate it just a little bit, just a tad. The alpha is fine. Let's just okay. So there's the red one, the green one. Oh, see this? This looks super freaking weird. So let's just right. So it's pointing down. Let's press 1. Let's go like that. You don't really have these values. Let's zoom in again. Bam. Bam. And it's looking fantastic. Check it out. Now it's looking great. And maybe we don't want it to be like maybe the red one, the red area is a little bit too harsh. So let's take it down a notch. So, okay. So let's, I guess the smoke, we can mess with it, but let's just go, where is it? There it is, scale color again. Let's start from this side this time. Let's make it blue. Now let's go with some purplish, and Let's go with the pinkish. And there you go. And actually, I like to set the preview scene to not show the environment. I like to set it to not show the environment and just take it down. Now we can see the fire better. For some things you do need to just use the environment, and that would be the distortion. Check it out. Looks fantastic, doesn't it? Sometimes I do also like to hide the grid. Since it's magical fire, we may make it smokeless, you know. I like the smoke though, so let's just leave it there. Right, so now we have purple fire, and you may want to actually just make a thumbnail, because remember we just copied the green one, right? And you can do the same with these ones. It's essentially the same fire. There's flame, smoke, sparks, and distortion. The distortion isn't as necessary, alright? So take that with a grain of salt. It just gives it realism. But it does take a whole lot of... let's go to the fire one. Where is it? Actually, no. There we go. Let's look at this, and let's have a look at the shader complexity. And yeah, like each one of those transparency, not translucency. Each one of those translucency materials make one of these reddish thingies, and it's going to the point where it's getting really bad. So yeah, let's try and use as less resources as possible, and therefore, by the way, I pressed Alt for, I'm pretty sure you know that, but just there's some heat distortion for the lava. It's barely noticeable right there, but it makes a difference, to be honest. It does make a really good difference. There's some liquids. There's nothing much to it, just you can mess with the settings. There's some just looks bad here, but as you can see in game, it looks fantastic. It looks like it's hitting the water. So I separated them in the mainstream and the impacts. It looks kind of weird in the actual viewer, so you may want to just import it into your scene and then mess with the settings right here, even though it's kind of a little bit uncomfortable and awkward. You can actually drag this into a different screen if you have a multi-screen system. So yeah, there's nothing much to these guys. There's not a lot you can change really, but for these ones and the blood one, you can in fact change some things, such as the user parameters. Right? You can make a different type of acid. Let's just duplicate it. And this one is super easy. There's nothing much to it. Let's make it purple, just because we already... let's go with... And by the way, I'm not sure if this is a me problem or it's a problem that happens a lot with this engine, this version of the engine, but it does crash a fairly fair bit while I've done these things, like messed with the gradient colors. I don't know why. Don't know what's the cause. There's not much documentation about that or reported cases, so I don't know if this is an actual me problem or it's an engine problem. This one and the blood one does have some differences, specifically the smoke. Where is it? The smoke, you can get rid of it. And, you know, now it's Kool-Aid. I'm sorry, made myself laugh. So there's the emitters, there's some smoke, there's some moths, there's some smoke of different kind. That's where you're gonna find the river fog and the fog and the mountain fog, so on. Excuse me, fountain fog. There's some dust particles, which you'll find here. Where are they? There you are. Looks really cool. They're falling through the skylights. There's some dust particles. The liquids, you'll find the water sediment particles, which you'll find here. Looks really cool. I'm not sure you can see them because of video compression, but yeah, these guys, this is geometry, by the way. So let's reflections, visibility, collision. Oh, actually, that's terrible. So yeah, hold on. There we go. So these guys are these are objects, which I forgot to tell you in the map, in the overview level map. Anywho, what else do you need to know about the smoke? Oh, yes, the VFX. So these are optimized, and the way they are optimized, let me show you with actually this one's acid fountain. It's kind of a little bit interesting. So you come here to emitter state, and you have several actual levels of scalability. So it only appears up until the max distance of 200 and rather 2500. I'm not sure if these are meters or feet or what they are, but it just makes these. So if you want some of your guys to be visible, some of these guys, like I'm not going to be looking at these guys, like this stuff, from more than this, like, and that's less than, as you can see, there's still some movement in there, which, by the way, you can't even tell what it is at that point. So yeah, you may want, if you want to optimize it further, I know for a fact, which some of these scenes are a little bit too heavy on the, and obviously for a game I would be developing, I wouldn't actually do it this way. It only appears here for you to to see that these are things that can be used in your game. No other reason. I wouldn't actually use it like that in my game. So just so you know. So obviously I would make the culling distance for these particles maybe a little bit shorter. Maybe I'll make some of the level design just so, like, for example, here it covers it. So if I go out of this range, it'll just, you know, disappear. For example, these guys only have a visibility culling of like 500 units, and that's by design because you can't even see the ones at the back. So why even bother with the memory right there? Which, by the way, let's just take a look at what it looks like in shader complexity. All these guys are actual red red particles. They are taking memory. So the less particles you have on screen, the more the better your frame rate runs. Take some of these, for example. Some of these run way better than others because of this fact. This has way too many translucent materials. Which, by the way, the reason why the translucent materials take so much memory, it's because you can see stuff that is rendered behind them, right? The stuff that is rendered behind these leaves or these little guys actually have to go through this thing, through this mesh or this material, and get to the camera lens. And therefore you're processing that one and that one and that one on top of each other, and that impacts your FPS. So just so you know, I designed it this way, like with the whole min distance and max distance, just so you can optimize it more. And unfortunately, you're gonna have to do this for every single particle, and the reason is because let's say the dripping, you're not going to be noticing this dripping from this distance. It's already invisible. It's inconsequential. So that's only 500 units. But this one, at this distance, it is visible, so it's 250. Excuse me, 2500. Jesus, I can't count today. Again, the semi-translucent, semi-transparent, this thing, the smoke, the vapor, whatever you want to call it, it is semi-transparent. And in scenes like this ones, since it's way too busy, there's so much stuff. Where is it? Oh, yeah, we need to go to the acid room / money room. So, right. In scenes like this one that is very busy, there is bricks behind it, there is a bunch of stuff, you can't really even notice these guys. I did not make them disappear too soon. I think their culling distance is more or less the same one as, where are you? The core, big drop, smoke, there we are. Yeah, it's 1500. So yeah, just so you know, each one of these, you need to optimize it for your particular case scenario. These guys, the ones I'm using right now, are pretty much like the general general type of situation. But if you want to like make your whole game consisting of these types of scenes where the foliage has translucency, it's taking a lot of memory, a lot of your frame rate, you may want to build your level in such a way that the culling distance of the particles is, first of all, shorter, and your level design so you don't have, so you can make them disappear basically as soon as your player goes out of view. All right, so that's enough of particles. Let's move on with the next optimization type thing, which is textures. And boy, oh boy, do I have a really good news for you. As you can see, we're experiencing some right there. We're experiencing some brutal just choking in the frame rate. Well, that is because the textures are humongous. In fact, they needn't be this humongous because, again, depends on what you can use this for. Check it out. The dimensions for the Atlas, for the cobwebs, is 4K, right? It's 4K, it's massive. You don't need it to be this big. You can actually just go here and where is it? I always get, yeah, maximum texture size, and just let's go with 1024. Takes a little while to appear, but let's go with where do we have? Yeah, there it is. See, there's not much difference. I mean, there's some difference, but there's not a lot of it. Let's go back. Right there. You can't even tell I changed anything. And that's just the cobwebs. There's a whole lot other bunch of stuff. Like, for example, VFX, some of the stuff can be messed with. Such as this thing that I used to displace some of the stuff. Like, for example, the water or the smoke. You can make this even smaller. This one is already 512. You can make it as small as a I think 16. Just depends on how big you're going to be viewing these textures, really. Like if you're going to have your fountains and your where is it? Your fountains and your water like way too far, like you're going to have some kind of barrier here and you're not going to be able to interact with it too much. You're going to be seeing it all the way in the distance. Why do you even want it so big? So you may want to just come here and, like, for example, the little sludgy thingies, these guys, or these guys, it's 512, but you can make them like 16 or 32. That all depends on what you want to, how visible you want your stuff. Again, if you're going to be looking at them like this close, yeah, it makes sense. It makes so much sense. Maybe you want to optimize it, like make them that size. But if you're not going to be looking at these guys closer than this distance, screw it. Just go and heck, just press one of these and excuse me, just make them half the size. That's it. That's all I'm gonna say. Again, 1024. Do you really need that size for your water, for your caustics? This is for the caustics thing. Do you really need your water to look this high fidelity? The answer is you don't, if you're not going to be looking at it from like super up close. But I don't know your case scenario, so again, I made it that size for a reason. And that's just the VFX. That's just the VFX. There's so much more stuff here that you're going to absolutely love, because the you may not actually, excuse me, you may not actually want to have like this like you can't really tell the resolution of on this thing, on the moss. So again, look at the size of these things, like the resolution. You can actually have to have it. These are all 4K. So let's go like that, and then bam. So these are 4K. You can easily make them 2K, and you wouldn't be able to tell in some instances, unless you plan your players to just just go against the wall, just you know, look at it super up close. But otherwise, you can have it, and it is already running pretty decently. I mean, quote unquote. In some oh, I messed up. It's the other side. In some of these scenes, in some of these scenes, it's actually running pretty nice, like 120. In some areas, not all of them. But yeah. You do want, by the way, if this texture streaming pool thing comes up, let's just go like that. R dot streaming dot pool size. Pick this one up. Let's just go with 10,000. That got rid of the thing. So, anywho, yeah. Right. So there is a ton of textures that needn't be this big. Here's another example. Let's go to the Room of Death, which is this one, and we have here a bunch of coffins, which, by the way, I think they are 4K. Oh no, they aren't 4K. So we're displaying 1024 just because we don't need that 2048, and it's already looking pretty decent. But again, if you want to, you can actually come here and do that and just observe the detail in all its glory. You can't even see the little what do you call these things, the nails. So that's how cool they are. And there you can actually do this with several things. Like you can actually make the here's another trick that I saw Nintendo use. We're making it super small, right? Maximum texture size 512. But some of the detail is in the AO. So we keep it at 1024, and there is some of the detail in there. All right. Doesn't work with all textures, as this one doesn't look that cool that well. But yeah, you can actually play around with which textures you can actually make smaller. 512, 1024. You can play around with which actual textures you can make smaller, because there's several, obviously. So maybe you want some of the detail to remain here on the AO layer, and maybe you want to save memory with a smaller diffuse layer. So I mean, up to you. I'm just giving you some options. Again, this one needn't be this big, okay? It's 64 by 64. You can easily make it 32 by 32 and nothing would change because you're not paying much attention. Let's just go to the Room of Life, and yeah, they are moving. You can't even tell if they pixelate just a little bit because they are just in constant movement, right? Again, some of these textures are 4K. In fact, most of the ones used in the level. The floor can be halved as well. I purposefully put a lot of detail in it, just so you get to either use it as is or make it smaller. And I promise your frame rate will go up, especially on slower systems. All right, so what else do we have here? Some of the blueprints, we already discussed those. I'm not a blueprint artist, like I said, so these are just included for display purposes, just so you know you can use this properly if you have a good blueprint artist. I'm not a good one, so it's fairly simple, as you can see. There are some floor grates. They are not animated, but they are already put together. So as you can see, where are we? There we are. Looking fantastic. And they already have their own pivot points. All you need to do is add your own functionality, you know, interactivity. The meshes, they have a very peculiar optimizations. They are all optimized except they are optimized for general purposes. Like with everything in this pack, everything is optimized for general use. So you may want to actually take care of whatever you want to actually put in here. So let's go with I always forget where this one is. I think it's mesh coloration. Yeah, there we go. So as you can see, you can't even tell these guys are already in the blues. This is super optimized. But it's optimized for looks. This is super optimized, but only for looks. So the closer we get, I want this to look fantastic, obviously. So if you want to optimize for performance, you may actually want to excuse me. You might actually want to tweak these values just to get like the most out of this thing. Again, it's already optimized. It's just optimized for looks. And the thing that is hyper optimized, such as this ones, which glow blue. Well, it's because you can't even tell. They are the crappiest version of the model. This one, for example, you can't just make it blue at this distance because you already will be able to tell. For example, the hands aren't showing as they should, so on and so forth. So yeah, just come down here to the settings and make sure you click custom. Now you have all these guys and the screen space or screen size they are using on your screen, right? And that would be all, I think. That would be all. Thank you very much for listening. If you have any questions, please be sure to write them down in the comments down below. They are going to be obviously opened unless people are misbehaving too much, because obviously this is YouTube. But you can leave comments at the, what do you call it? At the Unreal Marketplace publication of the thing where you bought this thing. And yeah, just if you want to see any more any more of these stuff, things in this in this asset pack. If you want to see, like, for example, I wanted to add a carriage, a carriage to add somewhere, or a different biome, because I call these biomes. There's a fire biome, there is a plant biome, there's a death biome, like there's only ruins there, as you can see. Hold on, there we are. There's only ruins, there's skulls, there's bones, right? So yeah, you do want to leave the comment of this video. Leave a comment where it says, yo, I want this kind of I want a different type of barrel. I want a futuristic room. Maybe it's a futuristic dungeon. I want a I don't know, what would be cool? Carriage, an umbrella. No, I'm kidding about the umbrella. That would be dumb. But yeah, I mean, a different kind of particle. And obviously, as my abilities with particles and this kind of stuff improve, I am going to be adding new and more stuff. And new and more new and more particles and stuff. I will be updating these just so they look better and cooler. So yeah, please let me know what is up, and yeah, thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for purchasing this asset pack. You don't know how much that means to me, and I will see you in the next one.